Okay, so today we are going to talk about watercolor paint. I'm going to show you 3 different techniques. You will need your watercolor paint, a cup of water, a brush, some crayons, some salt. Any salt that you find in your kitchen will do, and some plastic wrap. So, I'm going to start drawing a picture. I'm going to draw a picture, this one from a book of a frog. So I'm going to look at this picture and draw it first. You can do any kind of picture that you want, just as long as you show the techniques that we're learning. So I'm going to just start drawing the frog. He's got these big eyeballs. He's got these wacky looking legs. So his back leg. Okay, now it's got another leg back here. Okay, so there's my frog. Now I'm going to take some crayons and I'm just going to outline my frog with my crayon. Maybe I want to put some, I don't know, like a leaf or something. And put some just pieces of grass or leaves in the background. Okay, so now I got my crayon part. And then I'm going to start painting with watercolor. So I need to wake up my paints by putting drips of water into the different colors, so that they wake up or become hydrated. And then I'm going to start painting. And you will see that the areas that have crayon on them will resist. The watercolor won't stay on the lines where I drew. It will pull away. I'm going to add just some dots so you can see. And I can use different color crayon. I don't need to just use one. So maybe I'll show you with the eyeball. Some different dots on the frog. Okay. So now I'm going to start painting my frog. Going with green. You will see that the paint does not stick where I put crayon. That's called wax resist. The wax in the crayon resists the water, so it doesn't want to stick. Or the paint doesn't want to stick where there's crayon. So that's our first technique, to draw with crayon or oil pastel, something with wax or oil in it, and the paint will not go in those areas. You can see the water separating on top of the crayon. Okay, so that's one of our techniques that we are going to talk about today. The next technique is one with our salt. So I'm going to fill in my frog with the green. And then I'm going to take my table salt, just regular old salt, and I'm going to sprinkle it onto my frog to get some texture going. This is showing the frog's texture. It's kind of bumpy. And I'm going to leave the salt on my painting. I'm going to wait until all the paint dries, and then you'll see what happens with the salted area. The salt absorbs the water, and so in those areas where there's salt, there won't be much paint pigment there. So you'll kind of see what that looks like once that dries, but I don't want to touch it. Once I apply the salt, I don't touch it. So now I'm gonna go back into my background. I'm gonna do a blue background. Is using saran wrap or plastic wrap, and I can use a couple pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in the background, and you can see that the plastic wrap starts to cling to where the water is and where it's starting to look like there's some interesting textures happening. I'm going to leave it there, and then I'm going to rip off another piece of plastic wrap and apply that in the background. And I'm going to leave that there. This is going to give me sort of like a textured water look. For the salt and the plastic wrap, you don't want to touch it once you put it on. You want to leave it just where it is and wait until the paint dries, and then you can take it off. So there we go. Now I'm going to leave my painting alone until it dries, and then we can look at it again. You can already start to see what's happening with the salt. It's starting to look speckled. Okay, we will check back again. Okay, so now my painting is dry. The hard part is letting it dry because it's really exciting and you really want to see what it's going to look like, but you gotta let it dry first. Okay, so now I'm going to start peeling off my saran wrap or plastic wrap, and you can see the textures happening in the background. It's really cool. Wow. All right, and you can start to see, and you can see where the salt was. There's lots of different speckles from where the salt absorbed the water. And then you will just rub off the salt because it'll be all rough from the salt, so you gotta just rub it right off. And then you're left with this beautiful texture on your painting. And now it's completed. So we used 3 different techniques for this. We used wax resist, which was used with crayon, and then watercolor applied over top of that, and the water did not stay where the crayon was. We used salt, just regular table salt, applied over wet paint, and we used plastic wrap, also applied over wet paint, and then allowed to dry, and then taken off. I can't wait to see what you create. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.